Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attack Productions. Today, Bankrupt once again by Jimmy, Jake, and like always, Fluff.
Yes, sir.
What's going on, y'all?
And
What's up, beautiful people?
I am so sorry, I almost cut you off, Fluff. I don't know what just happened there. My brain skipped a beat.
All good.
Today's matchup is actually our finals. It is Jimmy versus Jake. Jake's been here a lot lately with SS4 Vegeta, but Jimmy's taken the new Ultimate Deck Cell for a ride, and so far it's doing good for him. So, let's get into today's matchup.
So we've seen SS4 quite a bit, so I'll talk a little bit more about Cell. If you saw the video earlier in the week against Whis, that was a very poor matchup for Whis, and it was a big uphill battle, just like every match for Whis, to be completely honest. Shout out to all the Whis lovers out there. But this was the matchup that I was most worried about the entire night. Because Jake is just really, really good at piloting this deck, and while also being a good player, I knew that he was not going to be familiar with this deck, but I felt that he knows enough about the game to weed out what I'm trying to do. And with the hand that I open with, I think I said it a couple times to him, I was like, this hand is not great. This feels really bad. And I wasn't lying. It did feel really, really bad. But I felt like I had to put a lot of pressure early. So that's why I'm going very gung-ho on putting out this 4-drop and just hoping that he doesn't have any turn 1 barrier removal, which I don't think there is any, but Jake always pulls some shit that makes me mad. So
Yeah, you forgot about this random card from set 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I've actually done a decent amount of testing against a few variants of this cell list, and my win percentage against it is about 50. So I was pretty worried going into this matchup as well. There's just a lot of things that this cell deck can do that aren't really very easily interacted with by blue. And especially since Jimmy has had, I would say, more experience against SS4 than I have had against Cell, I kind of felt like I had to. I was kind of the underdog going into this one, especially with that turn 1 play.
Yeah, and that turn 1 play actually will allow Jimmy get to his the 8-drop blocker on the board, which is kind of SS4's biggest weakness, I feel like. Because it's not in the gate, you're stopping them from hitting your life, so that way they're not getting the ramps off. And then once it's established, which here it is, Jake now has to focus on how do I remove this card so that way I can start ramping again.
Yeah, large blockers are very annoying, especially in the early stages of the game like this.
I do not remember if I try to leave this up to block your leader attacks. I think I was too worried about just trying to kill you quickly, because I know that SS4 Vegeta is a deck that can snowball, and eventually gets to the point where it feels like you just can't do anything against it. As soon as you try to make a big play, it just wipes out whatever you've done the turn before. So I was really focused on just trying to kill you as quickly as possible.
Yeah, I think that's an overall good plan going into this matchup. You know that a lot of my cards are 10k combos, or I would much rather not combo them off. I kind of need to cast them for their effect. So a lot of this early damage is going to come by pretty easy. And then you can kind of put me in a position where you can take me from like 5 to 3 with a sneaky double striker or something on your next turn.
Also knew that once the Boo Unison come down, even though I have decent protection, the 4-drop has barrier and the 8-drop has protection removal, or removal from protection, or protection from removal. There we go. I knew that once the Majin Buu Unison come down, it was going to be something that I had to deal with. because there's only so many cards under the 8-drop, and in most matchups, it's plenty enough. But in matchups like this, where you have stuff like Beerus Destroys, your Majin Unison, the 3-drop Vegeta, like that's a lot of cards that I have to worry about removing this, and you can play them pretty efficiently.
Yeah. So here I'm just trying to put a little bit of pressure on this 8-drop. Like, I'm seeing the way that your play line is going, and I'm like, okay, 4-drop cell, 8-drop cell, where the hell's this going? And there's not really a lot of good plays you can make against Xenocell, especially if it comes out before I can ramp a few times.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just trying to keep your board as small as possible, and that was a really big homicidal clones.
Yeah. And right here, I do make a massive mistake of just completely whiffing my charge. I believe we were talking to Bancroft, and then we were talking about you making the play of Vegeta and forgetting that the 4-drop has barrier. And I think it was like right around here, I was like, oh fuck, I didn't charge, and you allowed me to take it back. Since I did not draw any cards, I actually have less cards in hand than I started with. Which was, I really appreciate that, and I again would have let you take back that 3-drop Vegeta play because
I think I would have made the same play either way, and just continued to swing at the 4-drop. But that homicidal clones was just really big for you getting in or being able to stop both attacks.
Mm-hmm. I like being able to use clones against your leader attacks, especially on the backside, because you do get the restand on counter, and the homicidal basically just says that both attacks are just negated to keep you from ramping. But keeping the 4-drop around was very, very important. Because I knew that you don't have barrier removal until you have 7 energy with the Kefla. Or it's not Kefla, it's Kale. Kale, yeah. So I was really thinking, like, I just don't go into the 8-drop in this matchup. Like, I just stick to the 4-drops, and I just keep trying to turn those sideways.
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? It's difficult for me to want to make a big defensive play on any particular one of these swings, and this way you can just attrition me down card by card.
Hmm.
See there, I let you take me to 3. Like, this is a rough spot. I've ramped once, but we're on even energy. I mean, I'm going to charge to 4, but still, we're on pretty much even energy for what I want to be doing. And I'm down to 3 life. Don't really have that many cards in hand. You just did a good job of managing really just my overall play style with this deck, or rather, you know the game plan and know what to do against it.
Like, I know the basic ideas of what SS4 wants to do, and I just had to figure out how to make Cell play into that. Or play against that, I should say. This is legitimately the 3rd game that I've had with this list. I've done test hands and really focused and like read the cards and like paid attention to what I wanted to do. But this is my 3rd game with this list. So I was learning a lot in this matchup. Hopefully, as much as both of us were learning from this matchup. And while I do think the deck is very, very straightforward, and I think it's great for new players to be able to pick up because there's not many ways that you can fuck up the chain. Because it comes from the deck. It comes from your fusion pieces or absorb pieces come from the hand or drop area, which they will end up in one of those areas eventually. And same with the cells; they come from the deck or drop area as well. So again, they're gonna be there eventually.
Really, I feel like I learned quite a bit this matchup as well, going back to your earlier point, and very smart to use those Gohan super combos instead of the Paragus, so you can reload cells that you draw back into your deck.
Mm-hmm. There was a lot of times where I was stuck at 5 life because the Awaken does put you at 5, There was quite a few times where I was wishing that I just had a 0+10 super combo. But I do like being able to load the Gohan's back because the 4-drop does have the stipulation that it has to be played from the hand or deck to get the draw. So
Yeah.
Those are my favorite kind of ways of actually playing those type of cards, where it's like, oh, I'll just get benefits for putting it back in my deck and just cast it from the deck afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. This goes back to the point that I made in the Whis matchup video, where I said it just feels like a well-oiled machine. It feels like once you get your cycles going, you are at a lossless cycle. You don't lose any advantage; you only gain advantage, which I think is what makes any archetype good.
And especially right now where you're at, I'm not sure if you guys, I had to step away for a quick second, but you're not really going up to 8-drop. I'm not sure if that's because you just don't want, you can't, or you're choosing not to, because the 8-drop is affected by Boo, where in this case, these have barrier to protect it probably from most of Jake's cards.
Yeah, I did mention that earlier. I did attempt to go into an 8-drop just to apply a little bit more pressure and actually try to focus on getting some markers down on Boo. That did get God Sealed, but I just get to keep my 4-drop on field, which feels really good to try again later. They are a limit 1 across all copies, so I can only try on 1 copy per turn, and that was my 1 try. I do still get my draw off of my Unison, though, for activating Union Fusion.
Yep.
Or Absorb, yeah.
Which is so amazing.
I think the big mistake here was actually really caring about the 8-drop. There are other battle cards that you play that don't have deflect that are much more potent against what I want to do than those 8-drop cells, and maybe in the future I just let that come in, even though it's a little bit annoying to deal with.
I knew that Perfect Force was going to be a difficult card to board unless I got some God Seal, so every time I've seen a God Seal come out of your hand, it felt really, really good. Usually I've seen you charge a lot of God Seals and then pick them up later with a Zeno super combo, but seeing you not charge any was very scary.
Yeah, I felt like I needed them in this match, but I think I overvalued. I think I just played it incorrectly. I think I correctly valued God Sealing, but I think I just utilized it wrong.
Yeah. It did throw me off the game plan, but it made me feel better about game plans later on.
Yeah, like if I had let that come in, the Spears Destroys would actually at least get cards out from underneath it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like it would get some kind of value.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, that mix also with the -1 on Boo could probably just take care of it in general.
Yeah, if he swings with it, yeah. Well, I guess he can swing with anything, and I can just target
it. Has
it.
to be a battle card swing, I think, but yes.
Well, yeah. Any cell, I should say. Because that's literally all he has in play.
I think it's all the deck really wants to play.
Yeah, pretty much. Every once in a while you'll have a Frieza or a Clones token in play. Sometimes a Bupo. Usually that shit ends up in the energy. Which feels so weird to say that a green Topo is not a very valuable card in this deck.
Speaking of energy, you got 3 negates in your energy currently.
Yeah.
But you are at 5, which is very key for you. And getting this swing off now kind of puts in the idea that you're trying to put a card underneath there.
And there come the hatch, which did feel really bad, but I'm glad it come down here instead of when I made my play.
Yeah, my hand size is getting so low at this point that I feel like I had to use it there if I was going to use it at all. Like I felt like it was just going to get ripped away from me. And if you do this, maybe you make some kind of play where I can start removing things and keep you off of cell on your next turn. Let's see, there I am. God Sealing another 8-drop. Which, looking back, doesn't really make sense because you already have 12 on the board. So that doesn't change anything.
I wanted the 8-drop out there just to be able to have a dual blocker. In case you were able to put a lot more pressure than I was expecting. Which being at 6 energy, I did not feel worried about turning the tide coming out. So losing the blocker didn't feel too bad. Again, it felt pretty good seeing the God Seal come out of your hand.
Yeah. I think there was a turn during this game where I did not charge, and if you see the turning the tide of the energy, you can tell I'm regretting that now.
So, swinging with the Boo for the double strike, getting Jimmy to burn that negate, I think is pretty good, because if not, he could have played whatever he wanted to play. But I forgot that it had this alternative effect to it, where it just replays the 1-drop for you.
Yeah, you have to pitch a card, but it could be worth it.
Yeah, you see, I picked it up. That's where I picked it up. And like, wait, what?
Yeah, but I was able to just pitch the 8-drop, which could easily just come out on top of it the next turn.
Yeah. So looking with 6 energy open, already swing with a Boo against 3 open energy, Cell with 2 life.
I just am thoroughly debating my options here. I just feel like most of my... see, I'm even comboing with a Tide, trying to push. Yeah. Regretting not charging an energy. I'm trying to push a damage as hard as I can so I can play a Kale and wipe all these cards off the board.
Yeah. As long as you're at 7.
Yeah, here I'm at 6.
Could you have comboed any more by any chance at that point, or was that it?
You see, I went to tap another energy. I could have, but I would not have been able to cast the Kale afterwards.
Unless you had a beat in your hand, which obviously you did not, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So instead, I think you go for another Unison play.
Yeah. I think sometimes when games are very tough like this, I kind of go for kind of like weird plays. Sometimes it pays off for me, but I feel like more often than not, I just kind of send myself down a messed up path.
And I do believe I had the combo power to combo out of that, but off of the 2 super combos, I did draw into that Bupo, which led me to drop a negate against that big double striker. And like you said, you did have the option to combo more. So
Yeah,
that was... I liked having that play.
Would have just turned off my turn if I had. And see, now I'm really regretting those God Sealings being mismanaged.
Yeah, I knew I just had to try, and at worst it gets another card out of your hand, then I can -7. At best, it puts you at 3, then I -7 on the Unison just to get rid of that extra 3. Which I believe you're at 4 cards right here, so probably
Yeah, you're not really supposed to flip them face up, but I'm like, yeah, this is GG. I have no cards in hand. I can't -1, chose not to block, and that's game.
Like, you could have -1, but it wouldn't make a difference. And if you blocked, he had so many more Android swings coming at you to apply that double strike too.
Yeah, that's like what I was talking about in an earlier video, where sometimes I need to like just not completely draw the game out and just be like, yeah, you got it.
Actually, when I was editing, I thought that's what you did. I thought you just like, yeah, that's it. But with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Keep minus buttons down below and on the screen while Fluff does the outro.
Congrats, Jimmy. The Cell deck looks absolutely sick. As always, read your cards, know your plays. Let us make the mistakes so that you don't have to. And as always, Fluff out.